Hi, I'm Matt from Hockey Reviews. Today, and I'm going to show a fun little trick and tip with the Sparx, which I've been calling out for a while on social media now. And one of the reasons why I have not gone to the Pro Sharp, I haven't been able to test that. No one has really been able to give me a good answer on this. So this is something that I do with my goalie skates. So you can see how uneven this is. This is really an inside high sharpening. So when I post this on social media, people always laugh and say how bad the Sparx is because they see this. But obviously this is on purpose for me. And I did this because I had a local sharpener who taught me this, who was also a goalie, and he did inside high. And the grip you get on it from shuffling and from pushing off on the butterfly while having no grip basically on the outside. So you can shuffle side to side easier without getting stuck. It's fantastic. So I always tell people to try this. But this is one of the big reasons why I ended up buying this machine, is because I don't have a local sharpener with me who I trust would be able to do this for me every time. I've tried it at a few local stores. Results are really bad. And when I worked at a hockey shop, I knew who I could trust doing it. And now that store is like 40-minute drive away from me, so I'm not going to do it all the time. So I bought one of these. So I'll show you how to hook this up and how to change this so it works so you can do inside high yourself as well. So I actually found out and looked up how you can do this with the Pro Sharp. You need their adjustment tool like this and a little tiny Allen key. You need to stick your hand in there, turn the Allen key, then make the adjustment, and then retighten the Allen key and figure out where it is. It's not nearly as nice a solution as this one, and the Sparx honestly would be a lot easier because you can actually open it up as well. The other part of this, and I want to make it very obvious, I am a Sparx Ambassador, which means if you click the link in the description and use my coupon code, which I'll also show on there, I get like Sparx bucks, which I end up using to pay for my own wheels. So if you want to support the channel so I don't have to buy my own wheels, you can definitely click that. But I have a feeling most people who are watching this already have a Sparx, so you might not need that code for a new bundle. But if you don't, check it out please, and it would help me out so I don't have to pay for wheels all the time. So step one, what we have to do, we have to misalign the actual grinding ring itself, which is kind of counterintuitive to what you think of a sharpener. We have to do that, and we have to change it that way it will end up sharpening a high side and a low side. So how we do that, we have to take the actual ring out. And if you figure this out yourself, you can like get an idea of how many clicks you have to do, so you don't actually have to align it every time. So if you do 10 clicks, you just have to do 10 clicks back. I can never remember that, so I always align it every single time to make sure when I go like to my player skates from my goalie skates and from goalie skates to player skates, just so I know exactly what I'm doing in the sharpening itself. So we put the alignment ring in there, we put the magnifying glass and the alignment piece in here as well, and then we go to align it. And then a small little tip on here, because it isn't quite as close, you can actually click the arrows to move it slightly closer, so that way when you look in here, you can get it even closer to the alignment piece. So then we grab their alignment tool, stick it in the side, and we are going to make sure this is unaligned. Okay, so this right here, you can see what the alignment piece looks like, and when you go away, you can see it pulling away, and you're trying to get it as close as possible. On here, this is pretty aligned. So when you turn right, it will move it in one direction. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you can see me turning it right pushes the wheel upwards towards the top of the screen and away. What that means is the inside, so the edge closest to me when you're sharpening it, is going to be the high edge. So you can see how that's unaligned, and then we can go 10 back, and it is back aligned. So you don't actually have to do this both times when you switch sides. You just do it 10 on the outside, and I'll do that just so it is actually even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can figure out how much you actually want to do this yourself and then mark it down so you know how much to go back and forth. I just do it about 10. And then we'll show the results. And then just as a quick reminder thing, always pull this out right away. I have left that in a few times as a mistake. Cancel it so it pulls the alignment wheel away from the actual optical tool. Pull the optical tool out. We're gonna put our goalie risers in. You only really need that if you have tall steel. I actually use the goalie risers for most of my player skates too, because the steel is so tall and it helps you adjust the angle, but that'll be a totally separate video I'll talk about in the review. Pull this one out, and we're gonna add our ring in. And this one, just the 5/8 ring that I've been using. Use whatever hollow you want on your steel. People have preferences. Like I go between 1/2 inch and 5/8 depending on the season, basically, and how hot and how soft the ice is. So this really won't show you all that much once I'm done because it is already inside high. One of the things Sparx always tells you to do, I can't remember exactly if it's left or right for the toe. You can figure out how this machine works and dial in without having to exactly follow the rules and make things work right. For this, for example, according to that, you would have to readjust that every time, going back and forth between the right and left skate. Obviously, you don't want that. Because we push the ring that way, it ends up this side is the high side. So when we put this in, that's the way we want it, because the inside of this skate will be the high side, and then we have to adjust it so it does hit the wheel at the right spot. There's also a case where this little tool thing right here is available, and they're riser pieces to help get rid of the pick on the toe of the steel. I haven't really needed that because I adjust it myself, and I'll kind of show that right now. What you can do with this is when you actually pull this piece down and lock it, you can also adjust the heel a bit as well. So right now it's totally like flat on how it kind of is supposed to be, but because the toe generally comes up a bit higher, what you can do on this is you can adjust this slightly so that way it hits the heel first at a little less of an angle, and that way you can really adjust this in. And you want it at about a 45-degree angle, but it's gonna be too many. Like that will be too much. Go down 1. And that should be good. And then also when that comes all the way over here, it's going to get more of the toe as well. So you can kind of adjust it so it's not totally flat all the time. And then you don't get those picks at the end of the steel. And like I said, I've never really had to deal with those picks at the end of the steel because of how I've adjusted these, and it works pretty decently. And then, so you don't have to do this all the way back, a little trick. Put that down, click this escape, and it will just go back to its original position. So I mentioned this skate is already done anyways for sharpening, and this is just a demonstration purchase. So I'm only really going to do 1 pass. 4 passes on this. It all depends on how beat up your steel is. For me, I generally sharpen these every 2 skates. So I only have to do 2 passes and it's fine. I get all my edges back and most of the nicks are gone. If there's a really deep nick, you can do more. But with some of those deep nicks, you don't actually have to do multiple passes as long as you can't feel it on the ice. It might be more on the side of the steel, so it's not really an issue. You'll figure it out once you keep doing this over and over again of how much you need to sharpen for like the specific nicks. But we'll do a run on this and you'll see what the results are. And then we're gonna take this out and we are going to take our cloth and wipe down the edges. Now, I also see people talking about this over and over again as well and saying I'm ruining my blades. This is a ceramic stone on the one side and the other side is a very, very fine grit. I can't remember the number. This ceramic, I've had no issues on black steel. All of it looks great. Put it on there and deburr your edges with it. I don't really do angles on it because I'm not trying to get at that angle where people always say you have to with the gummy stones and the rubber stones. I find with the ceramics, I can just do this and it works totally fine. Wipe it down and we look at how the leveling is. And when you sharpen it, you can see the results right here is exactly what we are expecting. So I'll show how to do that on the left skate as well, because we're going to tilt it the other way to get the same results. And one thing I also always do is I do 1 pass on these before I put them in, just to kind of even out those edges as much as possible before actually getting them in the machine. You don't really need to do this. It's just, I just do it for the sake of it. So when we have that skate in there though, we are going to adjust it and open up. So you always click the adjust one first so it doesn't go into the middle, so you can swap out the ring. Do that, pull it up. And since we want to be on the heel, we go all the way to the end and we're gonna adjust the heel that way. And we adjust this, so there's the flat spot, and then if we put this wheel over, it's gonna be right at the tip. So we adjust this going up a little bit, and you kind of just get an idea of where you want this to end up being, and then it ends up hitting where you want it, and you go down the whole line just to make sure that it's gonna hit the toe where you want it as well. And looking close, the toe is pretty good, and we are good to go. So again, only gonna do 1 pass because this steel doesn't actually need it. take the skate out, use our towel down again to get rid of any of the steel sitting on there. And we're going to take our hone to it. So if anyone ever says they use a sweet stick after they sharpen their skates, ignore everything they're talking about for skates. Just change your hollow and don't ruin your sharpen. That's an awful idea. Sweet sticks do not help your sharpening. You want your blades to be pointed upwards like this. Sweet stick pushes the tips in like this. So in order to get the actual hollow and a proper sharpening that you had before, you have to grind away all that steel that is now pointed inwards to get back to this point. So if anyone ever mentions using a sweet stick after sharpening, just ignore what they say and never do it. We're gonna take that honing stone, rub it on the sides again to get that edge. Clean it off again. And as you can see on here, we have that inside high again because we switched the left skate so the toe is pointing to the right. When you again move that wheel and I turn it right, it pushes the wheel that way, which is away from the front. So that front edge ends up being the high side. And in order to get that inside edge right there, the high one, you need it pointing that way. So that way you don't have to adjust the machine every single skate. The one other thing, just as a caveat, people say you can't use these on coated steel because Pro Sharp, when I bought this, specifically said you can't use it on coated steel. It actually works on all coated steel unless the coated steel is really bad. So if you have like the flaking steel that CCM used to have on their SB Blacks, it doesn't work. But if you have actually nice coated steel, this is Pulse TI, it works. If you have Blade Tech stuff, it works. And I've tested it against other alignment tools and it all works. So it's a fine edge checker for that. So it works. So this isn't really misleading or anything. Hopefully that helps you to get an idea of how to do inside high. And I always recommend goalies to do it. It gives you so much easier shuffling and movement on your outside edges while giving you a ton of grip on the inside, especially when you're a butterfly. It is awesome and feels great. People say it ends up killing your edges by hitting posts, but really, if you're gonna hit a post, the blade is so skinny, it's gonna hit both edges anyways, unless you had like a massive piece like this. If it was different, no matter what, your edges are gonna hit the post, so you're gonna have to fix them anyway. So that really doesn't make any difference. I love this. It's a reason I bought my Sparx, so to get consistent sharpening so I could do this. So hopefully you can figure out how to do it. I definitely recommend people to try it. You can keep your old hollow if you want. If you want to go sharper or less sharp penning, you can do that as well. For me, I just keep my normal hollow and I don't change it just so I don't have to buy different rings, and it works totally fine. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Remember to subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Links are in the description. If you want to support the channel and you're buying hockey equipment anyways, and you're in Canada and the US, click the links in the description. If you're in Canada, to Hockey Supremacy. If you're in the US, to Pure Hockey. Clicking those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback, helps support channel so I can make more content and making more reviews. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel without buying anything specifically hockey related, check out the links in the description too. Buy me a coffee and Patreon. Everything through any of those links always comes back into the channel so I can keep making more content and doing more reviews. Thank you very much for watching and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.